Lee Summit is your destination for big city vibes and small town charm.
Head to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market, where local meets fresh. Then grab a cup of coffee and discover a variety of shops and boutiques just around the corner. Continue the fun in downtown Lee Summit at a retro arcade bar. Discover your new beer at one of our 6 locally owned breweries. Cool off with some handcrafted cocktails at happy hour. End the night with live music and good company. Lee Summit, Missouri.
Welcome to the Lee Summit Sign Department. We are going to walk you through our process from start to finish. We make signs as needed here. It's not like we just go out into the field and place a speed limit sign here, no parking here. Our traffic engineers, they go through and they'll do field studies. They'll send us down an engineering work order for us to go out, place new signs or remove signs as needed. Coming from the material, our blanks come in and they're just aluminum blanks. We can put our white, our red, our fluorescent yellow, green, whatever. And basically what it looks like is just that there. Throw it up into the roller. And once we got it covered, take it to our work table here, and Tim will cut the corners, cut all the access off to where it's lined up right. As far as the plotter and the software that we use, there's a street name sign there, and he's gonna go ahead and print that out on the plotter so you can see the plotter and how it operates and runs. There's standards for the height, even just on letters on the sign blank. Basically what we have on the computer there is it's pretty much set up to those. And it goes through, it's got a very small but sharp needle that goes through and cuts everything out, letter by letter. Once that's done cutting, our next stage would be bringing it over here. Currently picking out the sign letters right now. We call it weeding or picking or however you want to call it. Next, putting it on the transfer tape. Then after it's taped, we bring it over to the roller. That's where we apply it to the actual sign blank. And we'll roll it through one time just to get the air bubbles out. And the last stage is basically just taking the transfer tape off the front of it. And there's a finished product of the street name sign. We'll take you out to the field and show you our process that we go through. We're gonna go out and follow our sign guys, get something installed for you. This is where we check our underground utilities. Tim, you got AT&T?
AT&T's back here.
Evergy, Google, so we should be good to go. We normally put all of our stuff together out in the field. Then once the base is installed, we'll go ahead and put the post in there. We've come up to perfect. And that's how we do it. Simple. Quick.
Traditionally, we think as police officers, those responding to law enforcement needs within the community. But honestly, we are there to serve our citizens, and our citizens do go into crisis. They do have mental health crises, and we're being called to those scenes on a regular basis. In order to help serve those citizens better, we did initiate the Crisis Intervention Team Program. These are officers that are specially trained to de-escalate crisis situations. Recently, we've brought co-responders onto the scene, licensed qualified mental health professionals housed within our police department, and they respond with those officers directly to those scenes where a crisis is occurring so they can interact with that citizen and get them the help they need right there on that scene.
The co-responders are either a bachelor or master level in a behavioral health related field. They wear plain clothes, they don't carry weapons or anything like that.
I have a police radio that I listen to all day. Listen for, those key words: mental health, behavioral health, crisis.
There's a lot of officers that just call for me. I have my own radio number.
I also have the ability to self-dispatch to them and say 982 is en route.
Officers en route, 914, Armstrong.
So typically I arrive after they've made it safe. I'll make contact and get kind of the rundown, and then I just kind of jump right in.
Like, hey, my name's Allison. I'm a mental health professional. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to take you to jail or arrest you.
Sometimes all a person needs is a voice, someone neutral, someone outside that, can listen. I do a lot of safety planning, including family, their support network, who's close to you. If they're home alone, who can come over and hang out with you today? Can we lock away your sharps? Can we put up your meds? Do you need meds? Can we get you over to the urgent care to get you assessed for your medications? Some of them also are like, oh, I'm so glad you came. This made me feel so much better.
Our main goal as co-responders is to, one, get people connected to the services that they need, and also divert from emergency rooms and jails.
And they almost get a different view of the police responding. That lets me know you care and the officers care.
Please, how can we help you?
My husband has...
In 2020, we had 722 mental health related calls for service. 2022, by that time, 1,479. These mental health related calls for service are increasing. How we're responding to that is increasing the number of crisis intervention team officers we have available, as well as the number of co-responders we have available to respond on these calls.
So what I think is important for the community to know about the co-responder program is that we're here, we exist. All you have to do when you call 911 is ask for us. Say, hey, I want a co-responder to respond to this crisis, and we'll go. I was really struggling about 8 years ago on my personal journey with mental health, and I met some amazing social workers and amazing programs that have helped me get to where I am today. I really couldn't see myself doing anything else. We want to help, and that's what we love to do.
So I had a client, we got a call, she had some suicidal ideations, and she really felt that she had nobody. And and getting to know her story and getting to know who comes around and sees you, well, then we found a support person, and they responded immediately, and we made a plan. I called back and checked on her in an hour, and then I checked on her in 2 hours. We were able to get her into the additional services to where she talks to someone every week or more. I just took a person that really just thought they had nobody and nobody would show up for them, and show them you do. And you'll be amazed who is in your corner if you just simply say, I need a little help.
Any questions? Yes, Councilmember Edson.
Since this is a cooperative agreement, is this similar to like when we buy things through the market?
It'd be similar. We don't buy through them.
We moved to Lee Summit right before we had our third child, and we ended up raising all 4 of our children here. And it's been just such a great place to raise kids. Well, I'd been involved in government and politics for a long time, different aspects of it. And then when I was raising my kids, I was very involved in different community organizations and involved with the schools. And as my kids got older, and I saw them and their friends starting to leave the community, I realized that there were some things that needed to be done in order to attract younger people back to Lee Summit, and I wanted to be part of that conversation. We need to work on economic development and keep trying to get more jobs here that pay well so that they will attract our kids. We have this great school system that we're all paying for, and yet our kids graduate and leave. We need to work with the school districts and with the businesses to create an environment that keeps our kids here. We have a great community with great housing, but we also don't have enough housing that is attainable for middle class. People who are just starting in the workforce can't afford to buy a house here at this point in time. If you take your average firefighter and your teacher and they're married, it's very hard for them to buy a house in Lee Summit. So some of my priorities when I ran were economic development, attainable housing, and public safety. When I ran 6 years ago, our police officers and our firefighters were some of the worst paid public safety folks in the metro area. And in the past 6 years, We've done a great job of getting their pay up, getting their benefits up, and now there will be a public safety tax, which will be a game changer for Lee Summit. It will help us to attract and retain new talent for the coming years. All communities are having a hard time recruiting and retaining police and firefighters. So if we can be a place that they want to come and is desirable, it's going to be great for the well-being of our community. We need to make sure that not only are we paying people well, but that we have enough fire stations as the city grows. We need to make sure that we grow the police department. Something else I'm really proud of, the replacement of Fire Station 4 and 5. I started taking council members on tours of Fire Station number 4 to show them how badly a replacement for that station was needed. There are so many opportunities to get involved in this community, whether it's serving on a committee, whether it's participating in the Citizens Leadership Academy, which the city sponsors. It's easy to sit at home and complain and think you understand how it works, and then when you actually understand how it works, you have a better appreciation for it, and you'll want to get involved more. I just wanted to clarify that. I think Hillary did a great job. Thank you.
Call to order the Monday, February 12th, 2024 Public Works Committee. Roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro,
Here.
Vice Chair Edson,
Here.
Councilmember Lovell,
Here.
Councilmember Pryor.
Here.
Thank you. Everybody's here, it looks like. First up is approval of the agenda. Looking for a motion.
Chair,
Yes, Councilmember Edson.
I move to approve the agenda for the February 12th Public Works Committee.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Edson, a second by Councilmember Lovell to approve the agenda. Any discussion on the agenda? Roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro,
Aye.
Vice Chair Edson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lovell,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor.
Aye.
Motion approved. Next up, public comments. We have any public comments? None? Okay. We'll move on to first order of business, 2024-6072, approval of the January 8th, 2024 Public Works Committee action letter.
Chair, I move for approval of the January 8th, 2024 Public Works Committee action letter.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Edson, and a second by Councilmember Lovell, approving the January 8th, 2024 Public Works Committee action letter. Roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro,
Aye.
Vice Chair Edson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lovell,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next up, TMP 2904, an ordinance amending Chapter 29, Traffic and Motor Vehicles of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Lee Summit, Missouri by revising Appendix B, Schedule of Stopping, Standing, and Parking Restrictions for certain streets and segments of streets located in the City of Lee Summit, Missouri. Susan Berry, good afternoon.
Good evening, Susan Berry, City Traffic Engineer. I'm here this evening with changes to Appendix B, no stopping, standing, parking restrictions. Two of the locations are already currently signed, no parking, no stopping. We just had failed in the past to get them added to Appendix B. The other three are all located in the Arbor Walk subdivision. We've got Arbor Fair Drive and Arbor Mill Terrace. Those are both going to be, we're proposing restricting parking on one side due to the narrow width of the streets. One is 22 feet, one is 24 feet. And then Arbor Walk Boulevard, we're proposing restricting parking on both sides. This is a commercial collector, and there's some new development coming in possibly on the northwest corner of Ward and 150. And we'd like to get ahead of that by restricting parking. Currently, there's no properties that front that road now, and there's not proposed to be, but there's still concerns of nearby residents that once the multifamily goes in, there'll be residents parking on Arbor Walk Boulevard, which is not desirable. That's about all I have. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or have maps if you're concerned about which streets they are.
Any questions from the council? Straightforward. Yep. I'll look for a motion then, please.
Chair.
Yes, Councilmember Lovell.
I move to recommend to City Council approval of agenda item number TMP 2904, an ordinance amending Chapter 29, Traffic and Motor Vehicles of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Lee Summit, Missouri by revising Appendix B, Schedule of Stopping, Standing, and Parking Restrictions for certain streets and segments of streets located in the City of Lee Summit, Missouri.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Lovell, second by Councilmember Pryor, moving TMP 2904 to the full council with the recommendation of approval. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro,
Aye.
Vice Chair Edson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lovell,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor.
Aye.
Okay, that's 4 ayes. Motion passes. Ayes have it. TMP, next up is TMP 2911, an ordinance awarding the bid for project number 759 for the South Prairie Lee Interceptor Sewer Improvements project to Leith and Sons, Inc. in the amount of $1,976,332.70 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same. Jeff Thorne, good afternoon.
Thank you. Jeff Thorne, Deputy Director, Water Utilities. Bring before you a construction contract over in our South Prairie Lee watershed. This project was born of some support to development and also a fix to some existing capacity issues we have in some lines over just north of 50 east of 291, downstream of HCA Hospital and in that area. When the new retirement home across 291 came in, part of it was a study of the sewer system, and at that time it was identified we had some impaired capacities, which we kind of knew that we had some surcharging in that line, but it was going to be exacerbated by the new construction. They provided us some funds and in escrow to do some work on this. We expanded on that to make it a little bit even better project for us. And then through the legislative priorities in ARPA, we picked up some money which needed some match projects. This is one of those. This will be the first of a couple you'll be seeing coming forward this year, as we need to have them all tied down by the end of the year. And this was bid and awarded or proposed to be awarded to Leith & Sons. We've done work with them in the past. They're a well-known entity to us. They do work across the metro and do good work generally. So we recommend awarding this to Leith & Sons for the construction on this project. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, Councilmember Lovell.
Chair, for legal, if I work with this company, should I abstain or recuse myself from voting on this?
Is it the general contractor that you work for?
Leith & Sons, one of my clients.
Out of an abundance of caution, it'd be recommended that you abstain from this one,
Okay,
yes.
great. Thanks.
Mr. Thorne, does this also help improve the situation on the property just west of the Princeton? I know they were having issues too at one time when they were trying to sell that property.
Just it was designed to be able to handle all of that property, so it was just one solution. That was our proposal to them, is that we would allow that to happen if they were to help us make the improvements to solve the issue for that entire area.
Okay,
so, yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, I entertain a motion.
Chair.
Pryor.
Thank you. I move to advance to council for approval TMP 2911, an ordinance awarding the bid for project number 759 for the South Prairie Lee Interceptor Sewer Improvements Project to Leith & Sons, Inc. in the amount of $1,976,332.70 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Pryor, second by Councilmember Edson, moving TMP 2911 to the full council with a recommendation of approval. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro,
Aye.
Vice Chair Edson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor,
Aye.
Councilmember Lovell,
Abstain.
That's 3 ayes, one abstain. Moving TMP 2911 to the full council. Next up, TMP 2912, an ordinance approving modification number 3 to the agreement dated August 23rd, 2018, between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and HDR Inc. for professional engineering services for sanitary sewer modeling, hydraulic capacity, and design services, the McClendon Ditch sewer improvements for an increase of $25,200 with an amended not to exceed amount of $532,735, and authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the same. Amanda Blackwell, good afternoon.
Afternoon. Amanda Bagwell, Senior Staff Engineer, Water Utilities. As mentioned, this is the third modification on the original contract between the city and HDR Engineering, Inc. for professional engineering services for the design of improvements to what we're calling the McClendon Ditch sewer. The purpose of the improvements was to reduce I&I, increase capacity, and improve system reliability. For this modification, during the course of construction, this project is under construction, we encountered some unforeseen issues, mainly pertaining to rock removal. So it has extended the construction contract timeline, and this just brings the engineering services up to that same timeline, increases their construction administration duties and costs associated with that. If there's any questions, feel free to.
Any questions?
General question. When we, Park might want to answer this, or we make these change orders, and with construction, just like remodeling a house, you never know what's going to happen until you open the walls up, right? And so we get these additional costs. How do you all put that in the budget? Where's your cushion at in the budget? Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Ms. Bagwell, is this, barring any further complications, this may be the last modification or change order, correct?
For the professional engineering services contract, yes.
Yeah. Good save. Good save.
Yeah, that was really good.
Seeing no more questions, I would entertain a motion.
Chair,
Councilmember Edson.
I move to recommend to council for approval TMP-2912, an ordinance approving modification number 3 to the August 23rd, 2018 RFQ number 2018-064 between the City of Lee and HDR Inc. for professional engineering services for modeling, hydraulic capacity, and design services for an increase of $25,200 with an amended not to exceed amount of $532,735 and authorizing the city manager to enter.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Edson, a second by Councilmember Pryor, moving TMP 2912 to full council with a recommendation of approval. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro,
Aye.
Vice Chair Edson,
Aye.
Councilmember Lovell,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor.
Aye.
Thank you. It looks like the motion passed unanimously. Next up, TMP 2922, an ordinance approving addendum number 3 to the on-call agreement for professional engineering services dated January 30th, 23 between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and HDR Engineering, Inc. for professional engineering services for the MBC Winnebago Excess Flow Holding Basin Study for not to exceed amount of $216,570 and authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the same. Ms. Bagwell.
All right, Amanda Bagwell, Senior Staff Engineer, Water Utilities. Bringing forth tonight addendum number 3 to the agreement for the on-call contract between the city and HDR Engineering, Inc. For professional engineering services for the evaluation, study, and design of an excess flow holding basin in the Middle Big Creek watershed. We had a situation where when we had previously studied this watershed, what it does, it flows to the southeast into the Little Blue Valley Sewer District Interceptor, which runs under the Winnebago Lake, or Lake Winnebago. And from the information that we had in the GIS, it showed that the city sewers connected to a 36-inch branch that then tied into a 36-inch interceptor. The 36-inch branch and the interceptor were both owned and operated by Little Blue Valley Sewer District, and both are located under Lake Winnebago. We were recently, within the past year, working with Little Blue Valley on doing some flow monitoring in the area, and at that time, when we entered that structure, we noticed that the branch line was not 36 inch, it was actually 15 inch. We went back and looked at our studies and what we had information-wise on that, and previous hydraulic evaluations, when it had shown as a 36 inch didn't indicate that there was any capacity issues now or in the next 20 years. However, that being a 15 inch and on a 36 inch, we're now showing that there are constrictions when we have future growth in the area. This is a priority area for future development. So we are being aggressive. We looked at what alternatives that we could do to mitigate these capacity issues. The excess flow holding basin seemed the most optimized and optimal solution. So we are bringing HDR on board to reevaluate the hydraulics, make sure that we're looking at it correctly, that this is still the right option to help size this excess flow holding basin. Make sure that we can do gravity in, gravity out, do a topographical survey of it, geotechnical survey, and do the design of the excess flow holding basin. We are planning to fund this with the sewer tap fund, and we hope to move forward with this project. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Councilmember Edson.
I'm going to ask a couple of dumb questions, but
No, you're fine.
I love this committee. I learned so much. So, does Winnebago buy their water from our water department?
I don't believe so. I think they buy it separately.
Okay. Well, I'm just wondering, because I'm wondering, you're talking about these running under Lake Winnebago, which is its own municipality.
Yeah.
So, why are we funding it?
So this is the sanitary sewer, and we have capacity issues in our own city-owned sanitary sewer. So the constriction obviously is that 15 inch. But it's causing backups in our system as well.
Mr. Thorne, do you have anything to add?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm just curious.
The issue in that the line is the size that it is under a lake makes it pretty much impossible for us to do anything without draining the lake. The overflows would happen in our system because it would create a bottleneck and the sewer would come out basically in Saddlebrook. We looked at changing direction of flows on several pipes to try to get them to go to a different spot with more capacity. The cost was higher. We looked at pump station options, cost was higher. We found there's a development going to happen in the area that would work with us to donate some property, because if we don't have a place to put this, they can't do their development. And so we've got an opportunity here to solve this problem and do so in a fairly elegant solution that doesn't cause too much upset to the rest of it. We are funding the design through our on-call program. And then you'll see this project in the CIP because it doesn't exist yet. We just found out about it. We'll be bringing it forward as a new CIP project. We'll have the design in pocket, and when the CIP hopefully is approved in July, we will fund a construction project and keep this thing moving forward so that we don't impair anything there due to an issue in understanding of what was there. But that's our thought process.
I have so many more questions, but I want more maps and diagrams and all sorts of things, but maybe later at a different time. So, all right, thank you, Chair.
Yes. Which begs the question, was this 15-inch line, was this buried before they built the dam and?
Yes, that it was all constructed before the lake existed.
So, yeah, about, so what? I think they built that dam in the early 50s, late 50s or something? Yeah, okay. Interesting, very interesting. I learned a lot too. I mean, I could ask questions all day too. But anyway, any other questions? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion. Thank you, Ms. Bagwell.
Chair.
Councilmember Pryor.
Thank you. I move to advance to council for approval TMP 2922, an ordinance approving addendum number 3 to the on-call agreement for for professional engineering services dated January 30th, 2023, RFQ number 2022-030, between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and HDR Engineering, Inc., for professional engineering services for the MVC Winnebago Excess Flow Holding Basin Study for a not-to-exceed amount of $216,570, and authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement for the same.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Pryor, second by Councilmember Lovell, moving TMP 2922 to the full council with a recommendation of approval. Seeing no discussion, roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro,
Aye.
and Vice Chair Edson.
Aye.
Councilmember Lovell,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next up, TMP 2902, an ordinance approving change order number 1 to the agreement with Pavement Management LLC for the Crack and Seal FY24 program, project number 815, to increase the project timeline by 18 days and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same. Vince Smager, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Vince Schmager, Project Manager, Public Works Engineering. Before you tonight's a no-cost, it's days-only extension for the Crack Seal FY24 program. Late October through November, we had a lot of moisture and some cool mornings, and so the pavement, we couldn't get dry enough to put down the Crack Seal. Any questions?
Pretty straightforward. Councilmember Edson.
It's dry now.
Got them, right now, the contract's suspended.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if we had authority, we could, but they want to make sure they get a 10 to 15-day stretch of dry weather and temperatures. We'll probably reboot this first part of April. Just let them be able to knock it out in about a half a month.
I'm just messing with you.
I know.
Okay.
I don't disagree with you, though.
Yeah, the roads look pretty bad right now. Thank you.
Other questions? Look for a motion, please. Thank you, Vince.
Chair.
Councilmember.
I move to recommend to City Council approval agenda item number TMP 2902, an ordinance approving change order number 1 to the agreement with Pavement Management LLC for the Crack Seal FY24 program, project number 815, to increase the project timeline by 18 days and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Lovell, a second by Councilmember Edson, moving TMP 2902, the full council with a recommendation of approval. Seeing no discussion, roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro,
Aye.
Vice Chair Edson.
Aye.
Councilmember Lovell,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up, TMP 2909, an ordinance approving change order number 2 to the agreement with Wiedemann Incorporated for the stormwater improvements Southeast Hackamore Drive project, project number 576322-7C-1, for an increased amount of $84,598.29 for a revised agreement amount of $941,048.36, and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same. Mr. Allen, how are you?
Perry Allen, Construction Manager, Public Works. I bring to you change order number 2, which is actually the final change order for the project. It represents making some modifications to, as field conditions, some of the storm alignments needed to be adjusted, and that affected a few other items, as well as additional items that were just part of the normal construction process, doing field measured quantities, and this represents the final cost for all of those. Any questions?
Any questions from the council? Oh, seeing none. Pretty straightforward. Councilmember Edson.
Chair, I move to recommend to council for approval TMP-2909, an ordinance approving change order number 2 to the agreement with Wiedemann Inc. for the stormwater improvement Southeast Hackamore Drive project number 576322-7C-1, for an increased amount of $84,598.29 for a revised agreement amount of $941,048.36, and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Edson, a second by Councilmember Lovell, moving TMP 2909 to the full council with a recommendation of approval. No discussion. Roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro,
Aye.
Vice Chair Edson.
Aye.
Councilmember Lovell,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. Next up, TMP 2918, an ordinance approving an agreement for the construction of a metal building expansion for water utilities with Mar Building Solutions in the amount of $544,199 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same. Jeff Thorne.
Jeff Thorne, Deputy Director, Water Utilities. I bring forward a contract for construction in the form of a sole source. Not a big fan of sole source contracts. That said, we did try to find a way to work around that and everything else, but in the end, Mar Buildings built the existing structures. They were built using Butler Building Materials, which they represent in this territory. It's a custom color of paint to match the stuff on the front of the building, which we need to be back with Butler to do that. And it makes sense, given their knowledge of the structure they built, the site, and all that we utilize them. So that's why it's a sole source. We had originally laid out to have a little more covered storage for our vehicles back there, so that they're clean and ready to go when we're doing things, no matter the weather and that kind of stuff, as well as a little more covered storage for some of our materials that like to stay dry and neat and out of the sun. But our budget didn't allow it when we originally built the building. We were moving forward to complete what was started and finish that off, as well as fix a few dings and bangs that have happened over the last 6 years of us occupying the building. So this contract does all those things for us and does so with a local contractor, and we feel pretty good about that. So I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
And this is to protect some of the newer equipment too, right?
Yeah,
That's,
absolutely.
Any questions from the council? What you're going to say?
I really appreciate the photos and making sure you point out the dings and bangs on the building.
That's why we walked around it, and he pointed at them, and that's what. So I knew it was in the pricing. So
I enjoyed that. Thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Chair.
Yes, Councilmember Pryor.
I move to advance to council for approval TMP 2918, an ordinance approving an agreement for the construction of a metal building expansion for water utilities with Mar Building Solutions sole source in the amount of $544,199 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Pryor, a second by Councilmember Edson, moving TMP 2918 to the full council with recommendation of approval. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Chairman DeMauro?
Aye.
Vice Chair Edson?
Aye.
Councilmember Lovell?
Aye.
Councilmember Pryor?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carries. So it takes us into roundtable. Go Chiefs. How about those Chiefs? And of course, I appreciate that they're the bottom line of St. Luke's East and all the hospitals. They're helping with that too, I'm sure. That always a cliffhanger, always a cliffhanger. But anyway, congratulations to Kansas City Chiefs. Anybody else got anything? Nothing? Staff?
Just as another reminder, on Wednesday, I know it's Valentine's Day, so we're sharing the love with construction-related impacts, right? It's we're expecting a closure downtown on 3rd Street, eastbound between Green and Douglas. Is Workforce Fire Gas. Those will be daily closures for about 2 weeks, and they're going to switch to westbound lanes and do daily closures. And daily, by what that means is that around 9 a.m., they'll shut down the road, and you'll be detoured, and then open up before you get to your evening commute, and then. Again, just be aware of that. That's coming up. That's 3rd Street between Douglas and Green. So this fire gas can do some utility work.
Do appreciate the updates, or the notices that we can send out too, but at least the public is aware. If they're able to gather the information. But anyway, it's good information always out there. Anyone else? If anybody else wants to talk, then I will adjourn this meeting at 5 o'clock. Thank you.